When writing a screenplay, the story is broken down into sequences made up of scenes. If you are able to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of each scene you write, you have a far better chance of delivering a strong, clear screenplay. A scene begins when events take place in a new location, or at a different time in the same location. A location is generally a clearly defined space, like a classroom, a netball court, or a foyer. If two characters begin a conversation inside a classroom, then step out into the corridor to chat to a friend, then return to the classroom to finish their conversation, this would be written as 3 different scenes, 2 of which occur in the same location, the classroom. Even if the action of the characters is continuous, flowing from one location to the next, a new scene heading must be written when moving from the classroom to the corridor, and again when returning to the classroom. This is because when a movie is filmed, the crew will usually shoot all of the scenes that occur in the same location, one after the other. This is much faster than moving the entire crew outside to set up and film the corridor scene, only to return to the classroom and have to set up all their equipment for a second time in that location. It is also very common for 2 locations which appear to be linked to actually be very far apart. In this example, perhaps the only available classroom for filming is not on the nicest looking corridor in the school. With the magic of film, we can connect the 2 locations. Every single scene in your screenplay should either move the story forward or reveal character. The best scenes do both, but if a scene does not reveal essential information about character, the people, or plot, what happens, it is probably unnecessary and should be cut from your screenplay. Within each scene, decide what each character wants and whether or not they will achieve their goal for that scene. Who or what will stand in their way and create conflict within the scene? If 2 scenes occur in the same location one after the other, how will you show the viewer that time has passed? Try to come up with better solutions than a banner saying later that day or the following week. Each scene needs a scene heading, which states whether the scene is interior, indoors, or exterior, outdoors, the location name, which must not change for that physical location, and the time of day, which can be simply day or night, but could also be more specific if it is important to the story. Because time is precious, you always need to try to enter or begin a scene as late as possible, and leave or end the scene as soon as it has served its purpose. This means that you do not need to show characters entering or leaving the room unless these actions are important to your story. Begin as close as possible to the important part of the scene and then exit the scene as soon as it has served its purpose. Remember that time is elastic. You are free to show events out of sequence, jumping back and forth in time, or even cut between 2 events happening at the same time. This is called concurrent action and is a tool unique to film which can be used to increase tension and excitement. Write the scenes in the order you want them to play in your movie. Each time you cut between different scenes, you need to write a new scene heading. When a new scene or character is introduced, a brief description can be provided. Only write what can be seen or heard in a scene. Specific props should only be mentioned if they are important to your story, revealing character or essential to what happens. Read over scenes one at a time and ask yourself if you have maximized the value of that scene and the time it takes in your story. Trim what you don't need and make sure that the essential details are all there before you decide that a scene does not need any further work. Because we are filming your entire screenplay in a single day, we would like you to limit the number of scenes you write to a maximum of 12. Your movie may only need 3 or 4 scenes to tell the whole story. That's great. If you need more than 12 scenes to tell it, you will have to convince the production team that every scene is important, and they may or may not accept your argument. However, when it comes to locations, you'll probably not be able to use more than 6 in your screenplay. More than that becomes very difficult to cover in a single day of filming. Not impossible, but not easy. So expect the production team to want to reduce the number of locations if your screenplay has more than 6 of them. Once you know what each scene should be achieving for your story, you can test one scene at a time and see if it needs rewriting. What often happens is that writers end up with some weak scenes which could have been shortened, combined with other scenes, or dropped completely from the screenplay without affecting the story. Try to identify these for yourself and make the necessary changes before handing us your screenplay. If you are uncertain whether or not something is essential to your story, rather leave it in for now. Remember, only write what can be seen or heard. Thoughts don't count unless they are shared as a voiceover.